Hi, welcome back to the Be the Cake podcast with me, your host, Liz Campbell, as ever, coming to you. I'm pondering today whether I should do this as video or audio file. I've ended up opting for audio because video would require me to set up some lighting because the weather outside's a bit all over the place and the natural lighting therefore isn't that great. And I don't even know why I'm explaining this, but I am. So here we go. Like, no holds barred. You get the whole lot. So I've been having an interesting time recently, and I think this is going to be relevant probably to quite a few people from the point of view of I have met along the way so many others like me who know that they're here to basically spread the message that's wanting to come from their soul and have probably along the way experienced all manner of stuff that's tried to get in the way, including but not exclusively so, possibly being shamed and silenced by other people or having people attempting to shame or silence you, and people telling you that you're wrong for being the way that you are, various different things. Quite a lot of the time this is connected to witch wound stuff. There's all sorts of shit that can go on behind the scenes, you know, from the point of view of looking at this as someone who has worked in the Akashic records and with the Akashic frequencies for a really fucking long time now, or what I think is a long time anyway, sort of since 2015 effectively is when I started doing Akashic work. I have basically along the way dealt with a lot of my own stuff and seen it with a lot of other people, the witch wound stuff, ancestral level, past life stuff, so on and so forth. And it's something that does come up and affect people because it's something that, if it's not being dealt with, is kind of present in your DNA and asking to be looked at. And it's stuff that, due to the work that I do, I know for a fact, when we've got past life shit, we will quite often come in, basically, to a family that has the same stuff going on. And sometimes we've even been our own ancestor when you really dig into it. But that's like a whole nother story for another time. And then we kind of go through this thing when we're small, usually, of what happens is we come in with an issue that hasn't been dealt with. We pick a family that has that issue. That family then projects that issue back onto us, so it gets reinforced at the core level as well. And we then, as part of our sort of initiation into ourselves, have to then deal with that shit in various different ways. And we'll find, until we actually start to deal with it properly, that it comes and hits us round the face every fucking which way via so many different people that we meet, not just family members, but people that you meet through the course of your work, you know, sometimes friendships, you know, when you have those friends that aren't really friends that pop up, that basically spend their time trying to silently or covertly shame you, or, you know, they're not really on board with you, but they kind of pretend to be friendly, that kind of thing. Okay, I'm sure we've all experienced that at some point. You know, I've had that since school times, basically. And I know now, sitting where I'm sitting and looking at things in the way that I do, with this sort of what I'm going to call an elevated perspective on stuff, that it was always part of the plan for me to go through this in order for me to get to the point of being able to sit here and share, you know, how I shifted things, essentially, because quite often we will come in with some form of mission or purpose, bigger purpose, that requires us to go through this clearing and initiatory experience in order to be able to actually deliver what we're here to do. If you've had a lot of lifetimes on this planet, it will most definitely be the case for you that you've come in with some shit that you need to resolve, and you need to understand how you've resolved it in order to be able to help other people do the same thing. And we come to that place of going, you know, quite often when you really look at it and you do this work, when you're actually looking at who your ideal client is, your soul clients, they're very often you, but like where you were before, and you're the person that has developed yourself to the point where you are now, so you can extend that helping hand to them. Okay, so it's like when you start to recognize that, you start to realize the purpose of all the shit you've been through. Okay, so that's one thing. Now, when it comes down to it, it's kind of interesting actually, because like one of the things that I have been just inspired into over the past couple of weeks, really, one of the things that I had to sort out for myself that I'm now actually offering as a product, which I sell, a digital product, is a self-concept hypno alchemy track. Now, what was really interesting with this, putting it together, because what I always do whenever I'm creating anything like this is I start off by running it on myself and then see what happens next. And with this one, what I did was I put it together. It's music, it's frequency based, so it's basically, I've worked with specific frequency for this, and it's got subliminal affirmations in it, which I'm going to say I channeled them. Basically, they came direct from my own higher consciousness through me, all of the affirmations to go in this, and I put the whole thing together. And then the first thing I did once I put it together and I'd done all the EQ stuff and all the rest of it, was I lay down and I played it for myself, and it knocked me the fuck out, because it's got embedded energy work as well. So the embedded energy work is basically designed around the themes of the affirmations, but there's more to it as well. It literally knocked me out cold, this track. And when I came round from this hour long just being completely somewhere else, the first thing that occurred to me within 5 minutes of opening my eyes was that I needed to basically offer a bespoke activation protocol service where I create hypno alchemy activation protocols for people that are personalized to them, that start with a consultation and then end with me going away and actually creating them 2 tracks. So a dance music type track, so like house / techno, whatever comes to me as a result of having done the consultation and connected in with that person's higher self, and a meditation one, working with frequencies, subliminal affirmations, all the rest of it, basically designed around them. And essentially what it is actually helping them to embody and embrace the next level that wants to come through that they may have been having trouble with. I mean, that's what's come out of it. I started off saying with what you want to achieve, but it's becoming very clear to me that it's actually helping people to embrace their next level with their business, with their purpose work, whatever that may be. And actually just helping them essentially through creating this work, which they then get to go away and keep and work with. They then start to really attune at the physical level to it, physically and mentally, where they may have been resisting it before, okay, and actually just allowing them to experience what comes from that activation. It's powerful shit, and it's really fun for me to do because I love making music. I love the consultation stage, kind of getting to have that chat about what it is that people think that they might want, and something that's been very clear from the people I've worked with so far is that people come in going, I kind of know what they're going, I kind of know what's next. I also know what my issues are, but I can't quite see the bigger picture, and actually like that whole openness to like being activated so that their soul can come through and have that personal experience of that without me as the person who is helping to facilitate it, trying to interfere with that in any way. What I'm doing is the affirmations and everything else are designed around opening that up for that person, activating that for that person, and actually helping to basically reprogram their subconscious to allow it. Okay, so they're not automatically batting it off based on past whatevers. based on, limitations they might have been holding, so that they can have that full experience of themselves without me coaching them into it, without me telling them what to do. And this is what it is to be an activator in this way. Like, my understanding of being an activator is, your job as an activator is to activate people without even necessarily like getting involved in what you're activating beyond it's for their very highest and best good and their expansion, and just allowing that to happen without getting your ego caught up in, what it might be. Something I've experienced for myself when working with people is quite often, my experience with coaches and stuff in the past have been very often, a lot of coaches are actually mentors, and a lot of them are very caught up in their agenda and wanting validation, this, that and the other stuff they haven't addressed in themselves. And it can get quite messy when you work with people like that. That's certainly been my experience. So I love the purity of this from the point of view of like, it's all done sort of in alignment with their highest self and their connection with their highest and greatest good, but I'm not dictating the terms. I'm just literally offering the frequency and the expansion for them to step into, basically, and it's a fun way to do it. But what came from this basically is that I suddenly understood that I needed to offer these. I then did that, and that has then expanded into, from me doing this, that has expanded into me having more inspiration for more general things to offer to the world, that as digital products, basically, where there's no consultation involved and they're cheaper, based on the things that are being called through me. And the latest one, which I created yesterday, I was actually working on stuff for a one-to-one client. I ended up doing an epically long day yesterday because I then suddenly knew, and I knew I needed to act on it straight away, that there was a new one wanting to come through me for general purposes, as it were, for possibly you out there listening to this now, based on speaking your truth and, to use a metaphor, making it rain. When we're talking about making it rain, we're talking about making money from actually having your voice activated and utilizing it. So if speaking she says, fogging up in my throat, how ironic, is part of your purpose. If speaking is part of your purpose and speaking your truth to the world is part of your purpose, then this is for you. I'm obviously still clearing some stuff in my throat chakra. God, can you hear that? Okay, so I created this track. And it's got the subliminal affirmations in it. It's not just one track. So I've done what I've done with the bespoke ones, but I've done it. This is for anyone who feels that this is going to be helpful for them, basically. There's a dance version which doesn't have affirmations, and you're working with more the somatic side of things, and it has embedded energy work. And then there's a meditation version you can listen to when you go to bed at night that does have subliminal affirmations in it, all around it being safe to own your power and it being safe to speak your truth. And basically what it does is it clears away your resistance to actually using your voice in whatever way. So this is where it gets interesting, okay? So I used this for myself last night. I did the dancey version, and then I decided to go to bed with the other version. I woke up this morning, literally just like my second guessing has fucking gone out the window. And there's a backstory to all of this as well, if you'll bear with me. So, once upon a time, I was known for being quite outspoken. I was known for always speaking my mind, for always being honest. I have gotten a lot of shit over the years from this, basically, starting with my mother when I was small, and sort of continuing on through, really. I now understand that there was a whole load of witch wounding stuff going on in my mum's side of the family, which had a lot to do with it. My grandma was very overbearing, the usual story, like childhood traumas and issues and this, that and the other family stuff, like the usual ancestral stuff. Quite a lot of people have this. In fact, I'd say most people. Women particularly suffer from it, I've noticed, speaking from my own experience here, as well as looking at clients and so on and so forth. Now, one of the things that I've found along the way is that times where I've made really bold moves, I have had resistance that's come up that has been like an echo of these issues that I came in to deal with fully in this lifetime. Okay. And there have been times where I allowed stuff to beat me down, kind of thing. There was the whole experience. This is where I'm coughing here. I'm obviously still clearing some stuff through on this. Okay, so there was a whole experience that I went through that started in 2019 when I came back from living in Mallorca, where I set up a DJ agency with someone who basically we decided we were going to be business partners. And it went very, very interestingly from the point of view of it was all tickety-boo to start off with. And then at the point where we actually had a roster, because what happened was, just sort of for transparency's sake, we decided to set this DJ agency up. We sat down, we mapped out what we wanted it to look like. So we created a sort of plan on paper of what we wanted to experience from it, what the aim was, all the rest of it. I then created timelines, because that's something I can do. Something I figured out how to do ages ago. I then created timelines to actually bring this to fruition. We then basically, what happened was a whole series of intuitive actions that happened very rapid fire. And within 2 weeks of me creating that timeline, we had the whole thing set up and we'd filled our roster. Literally, it was at the point we were beating people off with a stick, because we were like, we can't handle any more people. During that time, there was some stuff that went on that I still haven't fully made head or tail of, where the business partner decided to tell me that I wasn't allowed to speak about the fact I do energy work. I wasn't allowed to make my presence known. And he stopped treating me like a business partner, started treating me like his glorified PA. And for some insane reason, I put up with it. I look at this now and I'm like, if anyone tried to do that to me now, I'd tell them to fuck off. But at the time I went along with it for some, I still don't even, I look back now and go, what the fuck was I thinking? But anyhow, I think the bigger purpose that this has served is, me going through this experience. It was really interesting because I agreed to be silenced. I found, and there was other stuff that went on with it as well, I found that in actual fact what happened was I felt like I got silenced, not just in terms of that, but in all areas. It was almost like I put a cloak on myself of invisibility. And I was wandering around and I was doing stuff for my business, all the rest of it. And I just literally, nothing was getting the traction that it used to. There was a whole bunch of other stuff that went on as well, which I'm not going to go into the details of. But essentially, I experienced what it is to be persecuted for your magic in this lifetime. People trying to shun you, people trying to silence you, people trying to shame you for being what you are. I railed against it a bit, but because I had agreed to stuff, up until the point where I turned around in 2021 and said, I can't do this anymore, this is ridiculous, I want no part of it. I'm quite happy to be a moral support in the background, but I'm not doing this agency thing with you, fuck off, basically. I was essentially waking up every day and really just unhappy with the way everything was going. At the point where I backed away from stuff, there was so much energetic entanglement and enmeshment that was going on as a result of all of this. It took me a really fucking long time to unravel the whole thing. And it's been interesting actually, because I realised there was a lot of residual resentment, shame, all sorts of things. Essentially, my nervous system and my subconscious got conditioned into playing small from that whole experience. And ironically enough, like the thing that goes hand in hand with that when that happens is you start second guessing yourself. And the times when you do take actions, you end up with the behind the scenes belief systems that have gone into play due to the experience you've had end up proving you right, if that makes any sense, that, indeed no one wants to listen to you, this, that and the other. Like, that never used to be the case with me. And then it became the case. And then it was something that I actually had to unpick properly. Obviously, a whole part of this has been running this Speak Your Truth and Make It Rain activation for myself. And essentially casting off the last of the bullshit. Now, what's been interesting for me has been observing how I woke up this morning after that run of that last night, and I have been more active on social media, not because I'm trying to make myself active, but because I've been very much in that space of I've got something to say and I don't care what anyone thinks, I'm going to say it, and posting stuff and not even pausing before I hit post. If you've been caught in the wheel of second guessing, if you've had an experience that might be similar but not the same to what I've experienced, then this hypnoalchemy protocol that I've created basically is going to be absolutely invaluable to you. I can't say any more than that, really. It's been revelatory to me. I feel like I've got my fire back. My fire that had been very much like stop, start. I've had moments where it's come back and then times where I've ended up like sitting down and shutting up again, basically, because it felt like I was shouting at the wall. If you're here listening to this now and you are a content creator, you are a spiritual business owner, inverted commas, you are an activator, a healer, like anything like that, you're here to work with people. Your voice is supposed to be being heard, but it's not. Then this piece of work will help you. This piece of work will help you to clear out the shit that's stopping you from opening your mouth and saying the things you need to say. It will also help you to clear out the cloaking that's stopping people from actually hearing what you have to say when you speak. Okay. And essentially, like, the message I have for you in today's podcast, apart from obviously this is an awesome product I've created and you'll massively benefit from actually working with it if it's something that is calling to you because you've had these issues. But I want you to know that if you've got something that needs to be heard in the world and you've been finding that people are not listening to you, it doesn't mean to say that this isn't for you. As I'm always saying to people, this whole thing of if it's meant for you, it'll happen. If it's not, it's not going to happen. It's just like, no, your subconscious, like, essentially, your subconscious is the thing. Your subconscious, there's a whole bunch of things go into this. Your subconscious is the thing that's governing what's being allowed through and what's not. If you're perceiving it to be unsafe to be heard at a deep level and you're not aware of it on the surface, you will have the experience of shouting into the void when you open your mouth, when you post on social media, when you do stuff. Basically, don't give up. Don't give up on your message. It's not a question of getting your messaging right or any of the other shit that all these gurus come out with. It's an energetic thing. It's a belief system thing. It's a structural thing. It's all very easily remedied when you do the right work. That right work could be any number of things, but if you want to have a fun way of working with it and a fun way of dissolving it, and you like to dance, then you could do a lot worse than actually buying the Speak Your Truth and Make It Rain hypnoalchemy activation protocol that I've just released and is now up on my Podia. Basically, I will be putting a link with this. So if you're on YouTube listening to this, go to the drop down box. I will also put it in the comments. So there'll be a link in the comments. If you are on Substack, it will be around somewhere. If you're on another platform, it'll be wherever the writing's allowed. If there's no URLs allowed in with the writing, you'll have to copy and paste it into your browser address bar. But yeah, essentially it's $77. There's other offers tied to that when you click through as well. So if there's other things that you might want to avail yourself of, including a money magic workshop that I ran recently. I say recently, I ran it basically at the beginning of this year and recorded it. That was really super powerful for everyone involved, that teaches you how to do your own somatic work in a really effective way. Okay. And it's about more than just money too. Just stick that little teaser in there. But yes, don't spend your life hiding your light under a bushel without even realizing that you're doing it. Like, if you're here to speak out, get the help that you need to ensure that you're not cloaking yourself without even realizing it. This is one way of doing it. I'm sending you so much love. I will speak to you all next time. Mwah.